A bunny! Oh my god.
This won't last very long.
Huh. Wonder what happened to that series. The Last of Us is a 2023 HBO series created by Craig Mazin and Neil Druckmann, based on the titular 2013 video game made by Naughty Dog Productions. The series, in Game 2, tells the story of Joel and Ellie, two survivors making their way across the current-day post-zombie apocalyptic US after an evil zombie fungus takes over the world in 2003. Now, before I start my yapping sesh, I want to give you a bit more context on the video game that it's based on. The titular Last of Us series started in 2013 with the release of the original The Last of Us. However, development for the game started around 2009, and I feel this is important because this is around the mass zombie craze of the 2000s and early 2010s. Think of things like Shaun of the Dead, 28 Days Later, Half-Life 2, World War Z, Plants vs Zombies, Call of Duty, Resident Evil. Now, The Last of Us, as in the series, was released in 2023, 3 years after 2020. And because of this, the concept of a deadly global pandemic became much more plausible to audiences. And, as said by a lot of crew,
the scientific vision that the show presents to people is based absolutely in reality. That fungus is real, it does those things to insects, and if it were to be able to infect humans, it would go like that.
They wanted the whole thing to feel as realistic and grounded in reality as possible. And this is shown by the codes and conventions in the ways that this series was made. Look at these prosthetics and effects, for example.
What is that? What the fuck is that?
The prosthetics and makeup team did a great job at making the zombies feel real and visible. And thinking about narrative conventions, there's a lot of great effort put in to make the series as grounded as possible. For example, the killer cordyceps fungus is actually a real thing, and is told to us by the episode 1 intro sequence. It infects insects and basically turns them into zombies, hijacking their brain and leading them towards healthy high foliage, only for them to die and spread the spores further. Furthermore, episode 2 of season 1 tells us the direct origin of the cordyceps fungus being a flower factory in Indonesia, which, as said by the character herself, is a perfect substrate for the cordyceps fungus. You see what I'm getting at here? It's basically that, being a post-pandemic series, the issues of the time have played a big role in how the series is created and read by audiences, and that the realism is also kind of an influence of this, which also creates a sense of horror in saying, hey, you know, this could happen if we got unlucky. Now, I've never actually played The Last of Us. Given on account that it's nearly $100 for each part.
What? What the fuck?
At least on Steam. One thing I do know from my mates who've played the game and various other sources is that the game, you know, being a game, is a bit more focused on the gameplay and all the shooting and killing bad guys and stuff. That is, opposed to the more story-focused aspect that the series takes, because, you know, you can't exactly play a series on a controller. Oh, damn, forget what I said, damn. For example, in episode 3, the main focus shifts from Joel and Ellie to a romantic subplot between Bill and Frank. This subplot hardly exists in-game, and the decision to expand on this plot, particularly a queer subplot, is reflecting of the times when it was made, being in the midst of things like anti-LGBT policies and lots of other queer representations. Bella Ramsey, the actor playing Ellie in the show, is notably critiqued because of their non-binary identity, lack of resemblance to the in-game Ellie not being pretty enough. She's like 14 game. Basically, what I'm getting at here is that, again, having a series made during a time involving a particular issue and moving thing in the media, those values and topics are likely to be discussed in the media of that time, be it video games or film or whatever. But the adding of emphasis of things not mentioned in the original Last of Us game is a good example of this, like the Bill and Frank thing that I just mentioned. Oh, damn, that was a long paragraph. Man, I'm dead. That's a great topic to end on. The Last of Us series as a whole contains a lot of focus on the themes of loss, and particularly an overarching motif of the harder you try and protect someone, the harder it will be when you finally lose them. And this is also reflecting of the pandemic era in which The Last of Us was made. At the peak of the pandemic, literally thousands of people were dying per day globally, and the numbers are still rising post-COVID. The reality is, a lot of people died, and I'm sure at least one of you watching this knows someone who's been really badly affected by the pandemic. And even after all those years of infection, there are still occasional waves of COVID, which I'm literally experiencing right now. I literally have COVID, and the virus is still mutating. And I know this is a stretch, but there could be some possible correlation between that, the virus mutating, and how the fungus is shown to develop in Season 2, with new methods of spreading, like catching out of the ice, and the fungus mutating to become airborne, which in turn could be a reflection of COVID, and how it's a respiratory disease, and COVID waves too. Or I could just be overanalyzing this and making a fool of myself in front of the microphone, which I probably am doing right now. You know, I think it's time for the essay to end. Basically, my final point for this video is that the context of the time when The Last of Us was made, and the story basically laid out for it by the original game, shaped the ways in which the series was made, as well as read by audiences, whether that being through the lens of pandemics, or queer stories or loss. And there's a great amount of effort put into the series to help it show the related media representations, be that zombies, queer stuff, or loss representations, done via clever technical stuff involving codes and conventions like the prosthetics and makeup that I just told you about. Not much to say besides that, really. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed it. Finally I'm done.